When The Empire Strikes Back premiered in 1980, audiences witnessed what many consider the greatest sequel ever made. But beneath its surface of space battles and shocking revelations lay something far more profound. The film served as a masterclass in subtle character development, particularly in how it began planting the seeds of Darth Vader's eventual redemption. Seeds that would bloom into one of cinema's most powerful character arcs. The genius of Empire Strikes Back lies not in what it shows us about Vader, but in what it suggests. Every interaction between the Dark Lord of the Sith and his unknowing son carries undertones of a humanity that refuses to be completely extinguished. These moments are crafted with surgical precision, revealing glimpses of Anakin Skywalker beneath the mechanical breathing and imposing black armor. Consider Vader's very first scene in the film. Aboard the Super Star Destroyer, he strangles Admiral Ozzel for his incompetence. On the surface, this appears to be typical Sith brutality, but notice the restraint. Vader doesn't torture Ozzel or make an example of him publicly. The execution is swift, almost merciful by Sith standards. More tellingly, he immediately promotes Captain Pyatt, showing a pragmatic approach rather than ruling through pure fear. This isn't the behavior of a completely fallen being. It's the calculated decision-making of someone who still possesses strategic thinking beyond mere rage. The carbon freezing sequence on Cloud City provides perhaps the most crucial evidence of Vader's retained humanity. When testing the freezing process on Han Solo, Vader's primary concern isn't the suffering of his enemies, it's ensuring Luke survives the process. His question to the technician, "Will he survive?" reveals a father's concern masked as tactical necessity. The Dark Lord of the Sith, who has spent decades crushing rebellion without mercy, suddenly displays caution about preserving one young Jedi's life. But it's in the lightsaber duel itself where the seeds of redemption truly begin to sprout. Vader's fighting style against Luke is notably different from his encounters with other Jedi. Gone is the relentless, overwhelming aggression we see in his duel with Obi-Wan in A New Hope. Instead, Vader appears almost instructional. He's testing Luke, pushing him, but not attempting to destroy him outright. Watch carefully as Vader disarms Luke on the carbon freezing platform. He doesn't immediately strike a killing blow. Instead, he tries to convince Luke to join him. This brings us to the film's most iconic moment, the revelation of Luke's parentage. But focus not just on the words themselves, but on how Vader delivers them. James Earl Jones's vocal performance here is crucial. There's a subtle shift in Vader's tone when he says, "No, I am your father." The mechanical coldness wavers for just an instant, replaced by something almost vulnerable. It's as if speaking this truth aloud awakens something within him that has been dormant for decades. The subsequent dialogue is even more revealing. Vader's offer to Luke is not framed in terms of Sith domination. It's presented as a father's invitation to his son. Together we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy. Notice he doesn't say rule the galaxy, he says bring order. This suggests that somewhere in Vader's mind he genuinely believes he's working toward a greater good, a rationalization that requires some remnant of moral thinking. Perhaps most significantly, when Luke chooses to fall rather than join his father, Vader doesn't pursue him. The most powerful Force user in the galaxy, capable of stopping a lightsaber with his bare hand, simply watches his son fall. This moment of inaction speaks volumes. A purely evil being would have used the Force to retrieve such a valuable prize. Instead, Vader lets Luke go, suggesting an internal conflict between his Sith conditioning and paternal instincts. The film's final scene aboard the medical frigate provides a subtle but crucial detail. As Luke receives his prosthetic hand, he reaches out through the Force, and Vader responds. Not with an attack, not with manipulation, but with what can only be described as acknowledgement. This Force connection between father and son will prove pivotal in Return of the Jedi, but its foundation is laid here in Empire. Throughout these scenes, the filmmakers employ brilliant visual storytelling to reinforce Vader's internal struggle. Notice how often Vader is framed in doorways or against windows during his scenes with Luke, positioned between light and darkness. His cape, usually a symbol of his imposing presence, often appears to billow in ways that suggest internal turmoil rather than confident authority. The breathing apparatus itself becomes a character element. In moments of emotional intensity with Luke, the mechanical breathing occasionally seems to falter or change rhythm, as if the man inside is struggling against the machine that sustains him. These audio cues are so subtle that they work on a subconscious level, preparing audiences for the eventual revelation that Anakin Skywalker still exists within the mechanical shell. What makes Empire Strikes Back's approach so masterful is its restraint. The film never explicitly tells us that Vader retains his humanity. It shows us through action, through hesitation, through the spaces between words. These seeds of redemption are planted so carefully that they feel organic rather than manufactured, setting up Return of the Jedi's emotional payoff without telegraphing it. The father-son dynamic established in Empire creates a foundation that transforms Vader from a simple antagonist into a complex, tragic figure. By revealing their connection and showing Vader's conflicted response to it, the film begins the process of humanizing the galaxy's greatest villain, proving that even in the darkest armor, a spark of light can still flicker, waiting for the right moment to ignite into redemption.